That's everybody in the Washington metropolitan area. So our city is about that size during the day. And at night, we go back to around 600,000 people. 65% of the greenhouse gas generated in the city is from commercial buildings. But they leave at night, but we are left with the burden. But that sort of gives you a little bit of an idea. The purpose of the Clean and Affordable Energy Act was to keep us moving in the green direction. I think we have the largest percentage of LEED certified buildings in the U.S. I think that's what I read the last time. So at any rate, what it wanted to do was to decrease the percentage of energy used in the city, to reduce the peak power demand, to increase the use of renewables, and to put people back to work. The structure is to set up an advisory board. An advisory board is made up of agency heads in the city and also civic organizations. So they tried to have people who were very representative of what's going on in the city, the Office of the People's Council, the Public Service Commission, the Department of Public Works, as well as the Sierra Club and Food for the Homeless. All of these groups are represented on the advisory board. And then we have the SEIU, which is a program management contract. The purpose of the SEIU is to meet the goals set up by the advisory board and the Act, to determine what has to be done to meet them, to write the scopes of work, and to put the contracts out on the street. The SEIU does not do the work. Some of our partners have a problem with understanding that because they thought, well, if I can get on the SEIU, then I can do this work. And we have to keep telling them, no, the SEIU is a program management contract. The work is going to be done by the implementing contractors. These are the people that we have to put to work. And really the implementing contractors are the people who are working. What they have to do is to hire these people who are not working to get the work done. And we give the contractors incentives. We incentivize them to hire a local workforce to get the work done. And I'll talk about this a little bit more as we go along. This is our budget. And the money comes from the Sustainable Energy Trust Fund. I understand that California has something like this also. This is a certain percentage of the ratepayers. If you're a gas, your utility puts a certain amount of the money you pay them into this fund. Pepco, the electric company, does the same thing. So this is a fund that's supported by the ratepayers of the District of Columbia. Residential, commercial, and private. Everybody pays into this. Now, this is not all the money that's in the trust fund, but this is the way they have allocated it. I'm getting rumors now that they like the way we're beginning to sort of start working, that they may not do this graded, that they just might go ahead and just give us the $20 million. Maybe next year we can show that we know what we're doing, and we'll just have $20 million for a couple of years and then maybe increase it. Less than 30% of the budget will be used for program management. The rest of the money goes out in the field to the contractors doing the work. If whatever work they're doing, we're going to, this money is for supplies and for doing the work. Some of the supplies and everything are going to be free, and some of it's going to be leveraged. I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. This is the way that we intend to spend the money over the next 2 years. According to the Act, the first year, at least 30% of the money must go into low-income, multifamily residential. And so this is the way, and then there's commercial, then green jobs, and this is the way we intend to spend the money for year 1 and year 2. This is also a performance-based contract, so we're only getting 4% fee on the less than 30%. The rest of the 4%, it's an 8% ceiling, but the rest of the 4% comes based on how we meet our performance benchmarks. So these are our benchmarks: reduced per capita energy consumption. That per capita energy consumption is 1% per capita per year. 65% of our energy is used by commercial buildings, but they are doing it on the basis of per capita. So you know, we really have to know what we're doing so that we can get this down. Like I said, the contract did not get signed until about March. And come October 1, we still have to meet that 1%. So we are going to do some things called quick starts, and I'll talk about those in a few as well. These are our other goals that we have to meet: energy efficiency in low-income housing, reduce the demand and growth for the district's largest energy users. We don't know who they are. That's one thing that we have to find out. First of all, we don't really know what the baseline is in the district because we can't get the records from Pepco, which is the electric company, and Washington Gas. But we're going to figure out a way to get that. They're going to give it to us initially aggregated, and after a while we want it by house, by house, by house. But we're sort of having a difficulty getting that, but we'll figure it out. And I think right now that the largest energy user is the wastewater treatment plant, Blue Plains, which is the largest advanced wastewater treatment plant in the U.S., I believe. 400 million gallons a day when it's not raining. When it is raining, 1,200 to 1,500 million gallons a day. So we think, we're pretty certain that that's the largest energy user, and they are very willing to work with us. Like I said, it's a private entity. We did have, initially, there were about 6 people who went after this contract. But we just sort of felt that the regulated utilities should not be able to compete. They were allowed to compete, but we really had to work hard to make sure that they did not get it. We just didn't think that that was right. And this is a program that should be embraced by the citizens and the businesses of wherever this program is. Everybody in Iowa City, if you have a sustainable energy utility, you should say, this is my utility. This utility is working for me. It is going to help me reduce my energy usage. It is not concerned about paying profit to stockholders and answering the stockholders. This program answers to you. It answers to us. And that is the way we wanted to operate it. And we had to make sure that we put that in the proposal and that we made that very hard sell. The first year, these are the deliverables that we have to meet, and we have to do all of this in about 6 months, October 1. Let me talk a little bit about the contractors in the District of Columbia, and I'm sure it's the same place you all live, and I'm sure I'm talking to contractors, so I'm preaching to the choir. Whenever there's a program, for some reason, even though you're an Iowa City contractor, your company does not get that work. You can never figure out why that is, but your company doesn't get it. Or if you live in Iowa City for some reason and you're a carpenter or you're building performance certified, but you can't get on a team, a builder's team. Why? So the District of Columbia is trying to overcome that, and they put certain rules and regulations into effect. It's called a certified business enterprise. You have to meet certain requirements to say, I am local to Washington, D.C., I'm in Washington, D.C., I've done this, and then we have to give certain credits in our contracting so that district-based businesses get special attention. Doesn't have anything to do with your black, white, pink, purple, green, male, female, none of that. If you're in the business, paying taxes in the business, supporting, we want to make sure that our businesses get special look, even though you have to meet all the requirements, but we want to pay attention to you first. All of these training programs, I mean, how many do you have in Iowa City that you got with ARA money? People got $10 million, $5 million to do all of this training for people to do weatherization, to do insulation. And they go through training courses and then they don't get a job. You know, you say, why is this? So what we've done as part of the SEIU is on our website, we have the names of all of the young people, all of the people who've gone through all of these training programs. And then we help to network them with the contractors who are going to be going after this work. And you're required, we have something called a first source agreement, that if you are a business in the District of Columbia, don't worry about the workforce you already have. When you hire new people, you sign a piece of paper that says, my new people are going to come from the District of Columbia. They live in the district, and we're going to say they're certified because they've gone through these training courses. We've looked at the curriculum. We know what they're doing. You pick from this list here, you have a good employee. So we're trying to make this happen. Then if you do all of that and you get some of these contracts, we're going to help you buy down the job. That's what we're using that money for in the trust fund. So we're trying to sweeten the pie all the way around. And that's what the ICs are. And this is, we intend to also, in setting up the SEIU, we have a core team of people who are up and getting it running, but we intend to staff that SEIU with people who live in the District of Columbia that say, you know what, I'm very good at IT, I'm very good at doing this kind of work. We have a whole list of skills that are needed to operate the SEIU. So even though my company is one of the original people, we're not staffing this thing necessarily from people from PEER or people from VEIC. This is something that belongs to the district, and we are trying to set it up so it is run and operated by people in the District of Columbia. So it's not a closed inside operation. We are trying to get people started, and we're trying to create the momentum. These other things, we comply with first source employment, we'll comply with CBE regulations, and we're going to have sound, going to be completely transparent. Everything is going to be advertised in the newspaper, and we're going to work with the district-based businesses, and we have to create 33 FTEs. We have to prove by October that we have created 33 full-time equivalent jobs from the labor pool. We have to prove that, have to show that. So we also have to have a tracking system that shows how we keep up with our goals. So we're launching now. We have the SEIU. We finally got it started. We have the top layers. VEIC is bringing down about 8 people. And then they will slowly phase out. We have established the SEIU. There are 2 sides to the SEIU. There's an admin side, and then there's the quick start job side. So the compliance, very important. Engagement, I'm handling right now, community and outreach engagement. Once that's up and running, I intend to move into the place where we're actually doing the work and actually doing the energy savings. But I was so concerned about anybody who was coming in that they would not know how to do community engagement properly. Community engagement is not just a public meeting. Community engagement is boots on the ground, talking to you, talking to you, talking to you, going to churches, going to civic groups, community organizations, schools, letting these people know what this is about, how you benefit from it. And yes, it's open to everybody. Pepco initially, that's the power company. They had this pilot for 2 years. And at the end of 2 years, each year they lost their money. The government took it back. They gave them $7.5 million to do weatherization, upgrades, retrofits. They never got one program started. You know why? Because they don't know how to touch the people. They don't know how to touch the residences. They don't know how to touch the businesses. And it wasn't important because $7.5 million compared to their bottom line doesn't matter. And so they lost it, but I just said, you know what, I want to do this right. Once we get the community engagement marketing program going. I'm going to leave.